Last week I told you the story of the Haunted Knox House. There was a family there where the grandmother was thought to have slaughtered her family. The house was just finished being renovated and was awaiting the next tenant. My friend Curtis asked me to do a ghost hunt in this house just to see if the rumors were valid or not. I get my gear ready and set and off to get old Sally ready for a ride. Gaily bedight, oh gallant night, let's ride boldly ride.
These are the good old days. Well, at least after a while they will be. And go on with a summertime adventure. And keep those dog days cooler, baby. So grab you a freshie and get down with your pals.
As I ride the road down from my home in North Carolina, I was welcomed by the open road and its stories and its likes to tease us all with. Each area that I follow are also stories of the paranormal that also can be told. And we often hear the different renditions of these tales, and it's up to us to put all the puzzle pieces together and make it a whole picture. As I rode into town and found the spot that was on my map, and it took me a couple of times because the roads around here aren't marked well at all, I knew that I was going to stay the night. I pulled up to the old house, turned the car off. I had the camera gear and motion sensor equipment all ready to go, and have a few tape recorders as well, plus a plethora of batteries. If anything my old man taught me, it was always to keep a bunch of batteries around because you always need them. And yep, he was right. I unloaded my gear onto the front porch and used the key that I had gotten from a lockbox near the back of the property. As I walked my gear up to the stairs, I had to be careful not to fall backwards because the foundation of the stairs had moved forward and every step was a trip into the unknown. My gear is at the door and I get the key situated and I feel the cold metal in my fingers ready to unlock the house into the unknown. And excitement, I hope. I had my red lens flash connected to my belt and the camcorder night vision all ready to go on my left hand. I opened the door and kicked it the rest of the way open, because you never know if there's a crew of spiders or snakes awaiting one's arrival. To the positive, there wasn't anything around waiting for me, and I crept in, flashing my camera and looking around for any snakes or spiders. Not a peep, not a sound or a squeak. There was no slithering sounds or any critters scurrying away. It looked as if the place had been cleaned up and ready for the next sale. Sweet, that's a load off my mind. To the right of the front door is the living room. Ahead of that is a small room and a dining room, with the fireplace in the middle of the room. Beyond that is the kitchen. To the left side of the front door is the study or an office. Behind this room is a bedroom. At the end of the open layout, in the very back is the bathroom, but right in front of the bathroom is a set of stairs that lead to the second floor. The second floor has a similar setup. There is a bathroom at the edge of the stairway and the bedrooms on both sides, and each room is quite huge actually. As I went from area to area and room to room, I got a mental picture of this place in my mind so I could set up my gear. So I'll make my way back downstairs and keep the camcorder recording and just getting a feel of this place. There isn't any power set up here, so I have to conserve battery power on my camera. So I shut the camcorder down and continue down the stairs and get everything set up for the night. It's only a few hours away from dark 30, and I'm about to go out and grab some grub and ride around the area for a bit. Not really anything to see around here but fields and more fields and more fields. Everywhere. Everywhere. I look at the map and get the nearest big town and check out the mall there, and then even hit up a Walmart. I grab some pizza from the local pizza place and get a slice of potato slices they call home fries. As if. My grandmother took a regular potato and could turn it into the best set of fries you could ever put in your mouth, and that's just her fries. Imagine her fried pork chop sandwich that was fried in a cast iron pan that had been seasoned for decades and always kept in the oven as to keep the dust away. But I had this great food and downed it with some sweet tea that of course is over sugared, and that was the sweet syrup of the evening. Of course, I would need this high amount of saccharine to guide me through the night, as well as a couple of mountainous dews. I finally make my way back after getting a new cassette to listen to tonight while I have some downtime. Bat Out of Hell, Meatloaf's newer album. I go around the house and set up a few motion sensor lights connected to flashlights. I also set 2 of the tape recorders upstairs as well. I have to cover all I can. It seems that the first floor is set and ready for the night, as well as the second. I had the recorders and flashlights upstairs so I can know what's going on the whole time. I have motion sensors connected to a small radio, so when there is motion, the light and the radio will come on. I get the new tape I had just purchased and put it into my Walkman. I put the over-ear sonified headphones on and turn up the volume to a comfortable low and grab my camcorder and flashlight, and I was on my way to look at the property and to use the EMF meter to get a few readings. I walk around the property with first track going through my ears and walking through the ankle-high weeds. One would think that they would keep up a regular grass cutter. On with the walkabout. I walked a bit of property, and I'm also careful because of snakes. They like this kind of environment. So onward I go, and I keep an eye for the normal and paranormal. I hadn't seen nor heard anything while walking around besides the night bugs filling the air with their rhythmic sounds. I finished outside and was tired of getting eaten alive by skeeters of the night. I walked back inside and pan the living room after I closed the door behind me. Who's here with me? I asked right away. Does anyone want to speak to me? Silence. I walk through the front door, at which I leave open so I can bug out if things get too hot. I walk to the right of the living room, and I walk around with my camcorder going and my EMF in my left hand. I hear voices coming from upstairs and from the basement as well, and they both had their own type of sounds. From the basement, I went through the next room over, towards the kitchen, and get a few readings on the EMF detector, and I slow my pace down and try to get more of a steady reading. As I swipe over a certain area, I would get a high reading, and I thought that was weird, because there's no electricity here until they turn it on. I walk up to the door of the basement, and the sounds of movement I heard came to a complete stop. I kicked the door open more and walked through the threshold and looked down the stairs. It all looked as if it were a new home and ready for the taking. But what it felt like was something creeping around every corner and anything they can hide behind. That's not helpful. I go down the stairs and hear something from my far left, and it was a long freaking cellar. I walk down the stairs ready for anything to pop out, as if it were trying to scare me, but nothing. I got down to the concrete floor of the open room, and it was pretty nice actually. It had sheetrock walls and a drop ceiling, but the feelings were ominous. But I kept on to my mission and walked around asking questions, and still no sound. But from what I could see, there were shadows trying to run away from the camera's light. I walked ahead into the room ahead of me and could still hear sounds above, and I panned the camcorder above my head and tried to get a glimpse of something, but all I could see was the ceiling. I went back upstairs and went further into the kitchen area. There was a deafening silence around me, and I asked, "Who's here right now?" Silence. "Come on, I can feel you breathing down the back of my shirt, so go ahead and talk, because it's a good time to do so. I'll just record anything you say." I kept on with a few more questions, and I give a beat and listen for any of the voices of the other realms. I moved my way back to the living room and decided to go into the rooms to the left of them. As I entered the main study, or office, I feel a weird silence that wasn't out in the main room. I felt like some of the sounds had constricted and felt like every sound was right in my head and not in the room around me. I went around the room with the EMF meter and could get spikes of several areas. I and I would read the temperatures on the digital probe that I had connected to my camcorder. It went from a balmy 83 degrees to a nice 64 degrees. And yeah, that's a lot of difference. So this helps the credibility of the paranormal activity. I felt like there was something in front of me as well as behind me. I walked from the furthest corner in the room to the door and felt better with no presence constricting my air. "Who's there?" I asked. I see the light on my flashlight get brighter and then go out. That and my red lens flash, and I was now in complete darkness, minus the little green glow sticks that I had broken in every room. I could see the shadow dart from one side of the room to the other. Then slowly it came towards me. Silence. "Who are you?" I asked. I heard a slow growl in the corner near the door that I entered only moments before. I froze in place and felt kind of intimidated by the being in front of me. As it neared towards me, I could only see a green lit form getting taller and taller. I ducked to the right and tried to circle my way back to the door and out of this room. Heck, maybe even go outside for a bit and let the spirits rest a bit. But as I walked to the room's exit, I hear a growl start to get closer to me. So I run out of the room and shut the door right behind me as if that would do anything. I get to the living room and I stand there for a moment waiting for something to come my way. But as seconds went into minutes, I dropped my guard a bit and tried to gather myself. I went to the stairs and wanted to try my hand at the top of the stairs and see what comes out. I really have to get a hold of myself because it's only spirits or ghosts and nothing that can actually hurt me, right? But I crept my way to the stairs, keeping an eye out for anything that tried to get me to my left. I got to the bottom of the stairs and looked and saw nothing. I brought the camera up to my eye and looked through the viewfinder and didn't see anything at all. So I slowly walked up the steps and got to the first landing and panned around the area and then went to the left. I walked up to the furthest room and walked in. "Hello?" I asked. "Is there anyone here? Can you talk to me or show me that you're here?" I scan the room and don't see much, but I can hear footsteps scurry from corner to corner and back again. I get to the first of the two rooms with very little, but it seems as soon as I walk into the third room, I felt the temperature drop quite a bit and fired question after question. I felt a weird presence and can only hear the sounds of wind in the room, but it seemed that there was no opening in the windows or any cracks to let the wind in. I hear footsteps in the hallway, and I walk out of the room with my camera held out. And as I went towards the sound that disappeared into the next room, I followed it. I ran in and took a fast look about, and nothing. I asked who was there and if they wanted to play. I heard footsteps in the room that I had just been in, and it was running out of the room. As I passed the bathroom, there seemed to be a shadow that moved from the doorway back to the abyss of the room. I followed it to the rooms where I heard the footsteps run to. I went into the first room, checking it quickly, and hear a movement out of the hall. And I ran into the back room to my right, and I followed it slowly instead of running with full force towards it. I could hear movement in the room, but I backed off a bit just to give us some room, as it were. I can't believe it really wants to play. Maybe it's a kid. So I tried to think of a way for it to interact with me. So I knocked on the wall with the tune of "Shave and a Haircut, 2 bits." I knocked and I left the last 2 knocks off on purpose. I waited for a moment and did it again. Bum, ba, ba, bum, bum. And then I heard boom, boom on the wall next to my head, and I turned the camera around and tried it one more time. Bum, ba, ba, bum, ba. Boom, boom. Golden. Now this is my kind of interaction. "You can talk to me," I said aloud. Don't be afraid. I'm just here to talk to you. Can you give me a sign that you can hear me? I heard silence. Then the door to the room shuts on its own. And of course, I wasn't looking at the time, but at least it slammed, and I can prove it by walking over to it. I did, and for sure it was closed. And I just looked at the door. I raised my left hand to knock on the door, but stood back a foot or so. Boom, boom. I hear in result. Can you speak up, please? I say louder. I really want to talk to you and see what you have to say. I can't hear anything. I always forget to plug in my headphones with the audio jack on the camcorder. So I plug it in and I try again. As I ask a bunch of questions, I can hear some whispers, as if they were answers, and hoping that it's not wind. No wind, but just sounds. I try the doorknob, and it turns with a bit of effort, and I try to push it open, and there is a resistance, and I try a bit more, with a little bit of force. And still the same result. No budge at all from this piece of pine. I decided to use my full body to open the door, and as I did, it seemed to open up and all the way. And with rushing in with full force, I fell over myself to the ground, and making sure that I didn't land on my camera. I get to my feet and set myself and try to act cool as a cucumber. But I brought the camera up and I said, "Ha, thanks for that, jackass." I hear a giggle from outside the door, and I followed it through the door. I walked around as if nothing weird had happened. I hear a giggle, go from room to room, and to the hallway down to another room, and then to the other end. Also, I get to the room that I first started in, and
now our time is over now. And we will reconnect next week at this time, and I will end with some more goodness mama. So until next time, keep it rolling.